under 50% right now with folks in Ohio, which is a terrible position to be if you are an incumbent. To get into a little more of that detail, he has lost 20 points on his approval rating since 2007. And most shocking, he has dropped almost 50% approval rating amongst independents. And we've all had the conversation and we've all had the discussion about just how important the independent voter is to winning elections in Ohio, to building a majority coalition and being successful on election day. And Ted Strickland has lost almost 50% of his support amongst independent voters. The generic ballot nationally is favoring Republican voters amongst Republican candidates amongst likely voters. President Obama's approval rating is below 50%, suggesting, as we saw in Virginia and New Jersey, suggesting that Ohioans have grown frustrated with his policies. Interestingly enough, when you start to read some of the exit polls, he really had no influence on the race in the elections in Virginia and New Jersey. Recent national polling suggests that voters now prefer Republicans over Democrats on all 10 major issues that they are asked about, and national pundits are now even beginning to re-rank the order or re-rank our congressional races, declaring them more competitive than they did at the beginning of the year, moving them from leaning one way or another to being a neutral or competitive race. And what you're seeing is our challengers in the 1st, the 15th, the 16th, and the 18th congressional districts outworking, outraising, out-hustling, outmaneuvering all of 4 of those incumbents who are running for re-election. The third point is infrastructure. Candidates, environment, and infrastructure. Here at the Ohio Republican Party, we have proven time and time again that we have the ability to compete with an effective ground game here in Ohio, and we will do that again in 2010. We have learned lessons, and we have adapted to the lessons that were learned painfully in 2006 and in 2008, and we are correcting our mistakes, whether that's through things like dealing with early voting, dealing with absentee ballots, doing more voter identification work. There's a lot of different things that we candidly are going to do better than we did in 2006 and in 2008. Most importantly, and it's something that's really hard to measure, but it's probably the most important piece, and that is we have volunteer intensity on our side, and candidly the Democrats don't. And we saw that yesterday in those municipal races in those big cities where it was where you have incumbents like Ryan McClin who lose with a big thud. The volunteer intensity is something has risen to a level even this early in 2009 has risen to a level to levels we haven't seen in the Republican Party for the better part of 5 or 6 years. Bottom line, I expect the Democrats to outspend us, and I expect them to play dirty. And I expect that they'll get dirty and go dirty early. The reason they'll go dirty is because, candidly, they have nothing better to talk about. They have no accomplishments to run on. I have said time and again, I don't know what Ted Strickland will run for re-election on. I have no idea what he can possibly say to the voters that would convince them that he is worthy of another 4 years. Ted Strickland promised to turn around Ohio's economy, but he's lost 330,000 jobs since he took office, better than 100,000 jobs since the stimulus package was passed earlier this year, and he has given us the highest unemployment rate that we have seen in Ohio in the last quarter century. This election next year is an incumbent election, and incumbent elections are almost always a referendum on the previous 4 years' performance and record of that incumbent. We will clearly, as a party, we will clearly and constructively communicate Ted Strickland's record of failed leadership, broken promises, and incompetent management. And that's why today we're pleased to announce the launch of a new website. It's called turnaroundted.com. Some of you might get the joke that this is a play on his infamous Turnaround Ohio plan that he said would rescue Ohio's economy and would reverse our unemployment trends. Unfortunately, we have seen just the opposite. And what you will see in this site isn't personal attacks. What you will see on this site when it goes, actually I believe it's live now, what you will see on this site is an attempt to simply lay out what you in the media have been reporting on Ted Strickland for these last 3.5 years. Our belief, and my belief, is that Ohioans simply need to look at his record, and when they do, they'll realize that this state can't afford 4 more years of his mismanagement and his incompetence. We are also, see if we can get it black.
Our Turnaround Ohio plan has two aims. First of all, we're going to keep the jobs we have.
Since Ted Strickland became governor, Ohio's unemployment has skyrocketed from 5% to over 11%, the highest level in a quarter century.
And we're going to create the jobs of the future by making sure we have the most highly trained workforce possible.
Today, almost 60% of Ohio college students plan to leave the state after graduation. Worse yet, Ohio ranks second to last in current economic performance.
We've developed a plan that we call the Turnaround Ohio plan.
A plan that has done nothing as large Ohio employers close down or move away. Even the Dayton Daily News says Strickland is recklessly, obstinately, and selfishly putting Ohio on a horrible course. Strickland's budget creates a multi-billion-dollar deficit and has been called a recipe for a whopping tax increase.
And so I'm asking you to join me in our efforts to turn around Ohio.
Ohio's problems are bigger than slogans. We need real solutions. Can you withstand 4 more years of Ted Strickland's turnaround?
This is only the beginning. You're going to see regular web ads, regular installments and updates on the Turnaround Ohio, turnaroundted.com website, Turnaround Ohio, turnaroundted.com website. You will see us aggressively holding this administration accountable for its failed leadership while we offer a slate of candidates who I think offer a new way of leading Ohio. It's going to be an exciting 363 days, and happy to take your questions.